The nostalgia. This is The Sims 2, but not the one you guys are probably aware of. This is The Sims 2 on consoles, aka the version I grew up playing. Don't be mistaken by the same name and logo though, this is a completely different experience from the PC version. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of stuff in the PC release that just doesn't exist. Stuff like aging and having children isn't a thing, for example. But you have to give the devs a break. They had to fit this game on the PS2, and all the other consoles of this generation. There was literally no way that a game as full and complex as The Sims 2 was gonna fit on consoles at the time. So instead, these games had this weird thing where the console games are just completely different despite having the same name. Like, this game has a story mode where you make a sim and jump from location to location helping sims with their gold wants. It's not a story in the traditional sense, with cutscenes and dialogue and stuff, just a mode where you have a goal. It is nice though, as the locations are pretty cool. The first place is kinda boring since it's just the tutorial, but that takes like 5 minutes to do, and right after, you immediately find yourself at this beach house with a surf machine. The locations late game are especially cool, with places like an abandoned movie studio, an underwater mansion, and even an alien crash site fit with a crazy conspiracy theorist. To get to all these cool places though, you have to complete all your Sims Gold and Platinum wants. But after like the first couple locations, you'll have to complete other Sims Gold wants as well. Your Sims wants will mostly always be pretty simple, stuff like trying exclusive objects at their current location and getting promoted at work. But by the end of almost every location, they'll want to help one of the Sims in the area. Those Sims wants are what take most of your time at a location. Some Sims want something as simple as refurbishing their bed and breakfast, while others want to master a skill or get married to another Sim. A lot of locations also have optional Sims, which when you finish their gold wants, you'll unlock a secret location. The optional Sims mostly have simpler wants and way fewer of them. I say mostly because one of these Sims is, well, let's just say very, very romantic. And that kinda took a while. Anyways, the secret locations also have Sims with gold wants, and a lot of them are pretty interesting. You got a girl trying to live a lot more free. There's also an older man who's money focused, so you have to max out his career. There's also a guy who just wants to be the world's enemy. And then there's an alien that just wants to buy a whole lot of shit. Doing these gold wants don't exactly get you anything, but it keeps you busy for a while, and I guess it helps you get aspiration points which unlock stuff in buy mode. I guess while I'm here I can briefly talk about build and buy, since there isn't really much to say. It's just a more limited version of the build and buy you know. You can only have one floor and there's an object limiter, but other than that, it's not too bad. You can still make some pretty cool places. Check out this one. Not bad, right? That's pretty much all there is to story mode. Gameplay wise, the core game is the same, where you have to keep up with your Sims' needs or else to be totally miserable. But there are a few new additions that help the game stand on its own a little more. One of my favorite things about this game is direct control. This mode lets you, as the name implies, control your Sims directly, like it's a third-person game. You actually go up to items to interact with them instead of queuing things for your Sim to do. I really like this feature. It makes the game feel like it was designed with console in mind, and it makes everything feel a bit more intimate. Also, direct control lets you use the new social menu. Basically, when you talk to a Sim while you're in direct control, the game will focus exclusively on this conversation between your Sim and whoever they're talking to. From there, you can use the social menu like normal, but if your conversation is going well, you can get bonus relationship points. The background is also colored based on the Sims' relationship to each other, like it's purple whenever they are lovers, for instance. Not only that, but they'll show an animation to reflect their status. It's nice little details like this that make things feel a little bit more real, you know? The thing that makes this method of socializing good though is simply that neither Sim will leave the conversation until you say so or their needs drop too low. But if direct control doesn't appeal to you, the game has options. You can switch to classic control anytime, which basically replicates the PC experience control-wise. There's also a cooking system where you can pick ingredients to use, and depending on what you use can give you temporary bonuses and boosts. You can also give food to the other Sims so that they can get the effects. Why would you want other Sims with effects? Well, say you're trying to get two Sims to fall in love, but the other Sim keeps being a little bitch about it. One thing you can do is make an aphrodisiac, give it to them, and the next thing you know, they're all over you. It's a cool system. It's completely optional too. You don't have to engage in it at all if you don't want to. We should talk about Create-A-Sim too. I won't lie, the face and body customization is a little lacking, but there are some things that are better than even The Sims 4. You think that game was the first to let you put a hat on any hair? Well, what do you think of this? Speaking of hair, you can add a little accessory to it, stuff like sweatbands and flowers. Clothing is another win too, since you can change different attributes about each clothing piece. If it's a jacket or something like that, you can decide if it's closed or open. And if you have a long sleeve shirt or something, you can either roll up the sleeves or just cut them off entirely. If it's pants, you can change the length of them. There's so much customization in this alone, but that's not all. Check this out. Yeah, that's right. You can layer tops. This is something that I wonder why it's still not in any other Sims game. There were literally no issues with it. This game isn't all good though. For one, it's really hard. Like, too hard. Like, annoyingly hard. Needs and stuff are pretty easy to manage, but it's the friendships. The problem with the friendships is that these Sims are the neediest, clingiest Sims in the entire series, but they are also totally bipolar. Relationships in this game drop ridiculously fast, to the point where you can hit it off with a Sim and reach friend status, and the very next day you'll get a notification saying you aren't friends anymore. It becomes really tedious to juggle numerous relationships when you're going for the top levels of your career, especially when you're also trying to build skills. Remember when I said bipolar? I didn't just mean because they'll drop you in a day, but also because sometimes they just don't feel like being responsive to anything. In a single moment, they can just hate you for no reason. And then to rub some salt in the wound, you'll even be kicked out of the social menu because they get so fed up with you. Like getting this guy Hector to romance multiple Sims was so hard because apparently he literally has zero game and no one wants to even get close to those lips of his. Also, pro tip, sleeping is pointless. Don't do it. Buy an espresso machine instead. It helps so much. You save so much time when you don't sleep. Like you can spend the night working on skills and then during the day work on relationships. It makes it a lot easier to manage. And honestly, it's the only thing that let me complete this game in a timely manner. The difficulty isn't the only thing that's a little annoying. The game is also pretty buggy. It's not unplayable by any means, but sometimes the game seems to have a hard time running. All the time the game randomly freezes for a second, especially in places with lots going on, and sometimes your sim just won't respond to any inputs for a couple seconds after doing something. There are also random bugs that I have zero explanation for. Like I noticed the time when my sim had an umbrella stuck to her hand for some reason, and there was this other time where the maid seemed to get stuck. And after just standing there for a while, she called off her shift, taking my money, even though the house was still a total disaster. Even with these issues and imperfections though, I still love this game. It's not perfect by any means, but it's still a fun time. This era of Sims on console was just so charming. It's a shame that this is the last of the games that had like a story mode on console. The Sims 3 was basically just a watered down port, and The Sims 4 is just a straight up perfect port, DLC and all. I would love another console exclusive spin-off game like this again someday. But I'll be real and say that probably won't happen since these sorts of Sims games were born from limitation. Anyways, if you made it to the end of the video and you like what you see, feel free to subscribe to the channel. It helps me a ton and it tells the algorithm to give you more of me and to spread my videos further. So it's a win-win. Your support means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.